Hi, and welcome to another episode of Wine and Wisdom. I'm Thomas Le Hoang, and you're listening to the TL podcast, where knowledge is shared and no one takes themselves too seriously.
So I can only see half your head, Stephen, and while that's great for me, it's no good for the viewers.
Welcome back, Mr. Wilson.
Welcome. We've got half of Stephen Thompson today.
We usually have only half of all of us, don't we? The bottom half's not visible. Thank God.
You'll notice that we've started on time without any interruptions or distractions or technical difficulties.
Yeah, I'm sure there was no technical issues.
Must be the driver,
There was no issues, so no problems. How is everybody?
Amazing.
Awesome.
How are you?
Oh, fantastic. Good to be back. Great
Missed
to be back.
last week.
No, you didn't.
We did.
Don't talk
We
shit,
really
Louise.
did. Didn't we, Chris?
Don't talk shit, Louise.
We did, mate. We did. It was a little bit of a different podcast last week. You were not being there.
Apparently, yeah, I was too nice last week. They said that they really missed you because no
You
one
actually got some views. I had a look. I went, shit, 80 people have watched the video. I'll go stay up more often.
I said, I was trying to convince Steve to say the F word so we got a free lunch, but he wouldn't do it. So
I think he's
taking your place. He needed to do it, but no, let the team down. No free lunch with Stephen.
I'll get.
Anyway,
All right, well, we'll start. Let's drink. And everyone already knows the results because the list went public. So you and I will start, Lou, because we buggered it up big time.
yeah, apparently. So. Yeah.
I thought I did put some thought into it. I've got my bottle shop, which I brag about all the time, my special little bottle shop. And I'm like, I'll pick a Hunter Valley Shiraz because the other gooses will just go to Dan Murphy's and my guy will have something special. Anyway, there's 986 Barossa Shirazes and one Hunter Valley Shiraz. And I didn't have time to go anywhere else. So if by coincidence next week I say Barossa Shiraz, you're all...
Well, I mean, I was surprised. I went to Dan Murphy's, and that's my only option up here besides Liquorland. And
apart from the winery across the road, yeah, we've heard.
that was at my
It's
old.
not Hunter Valley though, mate. So
the wine, that doesn't sell Hunter Valley wine in Port Macquarie. Just saying.
Yeah,
That's a good
two choices of Hunter Valley Shiraz. I was a
Stephen,
bit.
can you fix your camera, mate? I know there's not much going on upstairs, but we still need to be able to either move your camera up or sit further back. You've got two options.
Oh,
Anyway, my
wall behind me. So
all right. What do you got?
I've got a 2017 Scarborough, which should be amazing, but was a lowly 3.7 on Vivino. So it just shows that people on Vivino have no clue what they're talking about.
Absolutely.
And we've talked about the Scarborough Winery many times on here, so I don't need to bore you with the details. But that was me, and I was tied last with Louise. So
you technically came last. I came third last. So
we both had a 3.7.
I know, but mine just nudged you just that little bit. Audrey Wilkinson.
Alphabetical order, yeah.
Yeah. Audrey Wilkinson, 2019 Hunter Valley Shiraz, which is always a good drop. I didn't have much, as I said, many options, and I figured this was to me a bit more of a well-known winery, so I thought, well, I'll go with that one and the more expensive bottle. Turns out I probably should have went the other one, but anyways, I'm sure
I stuffed up twice because I got a gift from I got a getting sacked gift during the week. I'd lost a list. He bought me a bottle of wine because he felt bad.
Never had a getting sacked gift. That's
and
pretty.
It was a Audrey Wilkinson. I just assumed because I hadn't actually. He dropped it into the office and I hadn't seen it. I just assumed it was a white wine. I've only looked today and it was a Hunter Valley Audrey Wilkinson Shiraz.
Probably this.
Yep. Not only did I lose, I could have lost and saved myself $20.
All right, Chris.
Battle of the Titans, Chris.
So, well, funny story. I didn't have to go to Dan's or Liquorland or anywhere. A couple of weekends back, I had a nice birthday party and a good mate that happens to be on this podcast gave me a beautiful bottle of
Tulloch.
the Tulloch Shiraz 2018. And it worked out quite well because the gentleman who gave it to me wins today, and he's the next one up. It's gonna
Hence
be
Well,
a drop.
why he didn't pull a Tulloch Shiraz out, because I thought, bit risky. I might have
thought
given
that when
one
I got it.
away recently, so.
Steve's suspicion that might have been on today's podcast
And
somehow.
mine is Hunter Valley
Half drunk. Yours is half drunk.
Tintilla Estate. So it's a beautiful little winery. We visited that with my short notice that I was coming today. I grabbed a bottle out of the cellar last night, or actually out of the garage. I think it is, Chris, isn't it? But
That's right.
grabbed a bottle out of there and sent it off to Charlotte, and then got the surprise today that we won. So thanks to Tintilla Estate in the Hunter Valley. So
Yeah, very good.
4.13 for Chris and a 4.2, I think, for you.
Yeah.
That's what I was just looking up. I couldn't
Him
find
at
it.
the
Yeah.
post.
What
What vintage is it, Stephen? What year?
2019.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
Oh, well.
You were told a week ago. I knew a
Cheers,
week
guys.
ago. So why didn't you?
Cheers. Cheers. Oh, there goes Steve.
Cheers. I was getting excited. We're getting to the good
Cheers,
part.
guys.
Your bottle was half drunk, so cheers.
Oh, that's good. Whoever called
that's
3.7 should have a good look at himself.
And that tastes bloody fantastic as well. I think you're right, Cam. Vivino is just not a good valid option for
Bloody
rating,
loser
is
talk.
it?
Anyway.
Judging on loser talk. Speaking of loser talk, we hate Para. We hate Para. We hate Para. What a glorious day it was on Sunday for the rest of the world, except Parramatta supporters.
Oh,
I've got to love your Facebook post, Cam. I think you did that one very well.
I had them coming from everywhere for me.
Yeah,
No.
and it stood the test of time, and you still owned it the next
It
week.
ate brilliantly.
yes, go. Did any of you go? Just by the way, to the game?
Max did.
Yeah, well, my son-in-law did as well, and $450 a ticket. Die-hard Para supporter, biggest waste of money ever. But he said the atmosphere was electric. But he said just walking through the streets during the day, there was full cars, like proper body. What is it called? Like wrapped when they put the sticker wraps. Like there was several cars, like a lot that he'd seen that had full Parramatta wraps and streamers. And
I've wasted a lot of money on a lot of things, but could you imagine?
Parramatta actually.
Imagine the week that those people have had.
Parramatta police had 2 fully wrapped Eels cars on patrol for the whole
As if you're not bad enough being a highway patrol car, you want to put an eel sticker on. Here's the thing. South used to be my team with an absolute passion, and for the same reason I hate Parramatta, but now that we sponsor South and I've had a beer with most of the players, very hard to hate them. The problem with Parramatta is this. They haven't won in 36 years. They start the year, every year they win the first 5 games by 100. And they all come out and go, we're going to win the comp, we're going to win the comp, we're going to win the comp. And any time it gets close to the end of the year, they fold like the scared little things that they are, mate. And then instead of going, we're just not that good at this game, they blame every single other person on the planet. They'll blame, this year the players are blaming, they blame the ref, they blame the media, and then everyone else is blaming the coach for picking his son, and everyone else except going, oh shit, maybe we're just not that good at this game. And I hate it. I hate it. The only thing that could undo it is probably the way the Penrith boys are carrying on after their win.
That was a little bit, yes.
Pointing really.
Poor sportsmanship.
As one of the worst winners in the world, I can vouch for what they're doing. It's probably a little bit uncouth and a little bit take the gloss off a little bit. But on the other hand, man, that's what drives them. And you know what? As a rugby league fan, it's probably going to be great. I don't think they're going to lose for a little while, Penrith. But when they start to lose, every single person on the planet's going to be out to get them. So the theatre that their loud mouth is creating is it's going to be good to watch.
Yeah.
And I just hope they keep ripping in. Go for it. Who cares? As long as anyone but Para. I had that many people come to me and say anyone but Para.
Excuse me.
Jesus Christ, Lord.
Sorry. I was trying to hold it off, but sorry.
So not much else to talk about from the grand final apart from stuff Para.
Said and done, over for another year. But I think, like I said to Cam, I didn't even watch it this year. Footy's sort of lost a bit of its old school touch for a lot of people, I think. And Cam said, what lowest rating?
Lowest rating grand final in history, just about.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
TV.
I mean, anyway.
We watched it.
I'll tell you what's un-Australian though, the amount of people coming out bagging Jimmy Barnes, I thought he did great. Like I might have had 46 stubbies by the time that we came on. And I might have been with my sister and brother-in-law from Bargo, which explains a lot. But I thought he was a great choice of pre-match entertainment. Everyone's bagging him, saying he's old and past it. But some of the other crap they've dished out, long live Barnesy, I reckon.
Yeah.
I think you had sort of big boots to fill the week previous. It was Robbie Williams and Delta Goodrum at the AFL, and he absolutely smashed it. Or they absolutely smashed it. So maybe everyone was comparing it against that. Who knows? But the guy, how old is he? 60 something?
Oh, he's got to be older.
60 odd, and for 30 years he drank a bottle of vodka a day while he was on stage. So hey,
So he's only like he's 40 then, really, because
give
he's
the bloke some credit. That's athletics.
Yeah. Anyways, what else is new? Interest rates have gone up again.
Yes.
66 actually. I just checked. He's actually 66. So
there you go. Wow.
Yeah.
Interest rates 2.6%. RBA cash rate gone up 6 times since May.
But they're easing. It didn't go up 0.5% though. It only went up 0.25.
0.25.
Interesting. I shared something with the team that I listened to during the week, and I'm sure you guys all know Tom Penos. So I listened to not a podcast, a video from him, but he did make a pretty valid point that each time interest rates go up by 0.5%, people's borrowing capacity goes down by about 5%. So if you were approved to $1 million at the beginning of the year, you're looking at about $750 now.
That's not right.
Yeah, I know, but you know what? Buyers think a little bit that they're in the box seat. Buyers think a little bit that they're in the box seat at the moment, which, you know what? Fair enough. It's a changed market, but the real worry is, buy now, because soon your capacity to buy won't be there if they keep going up. I'm glad, like I said to my daughter, I'm glad you bought when you did, because, your capacity to borrow could have been a hell of a lot less, which meant it wouldn't have even bought your block of land up here.
But it makes sense for a buyer to hold off. I mean, hold off to save maybe 5 or 10% if the market drops, and now they can borrow 25 or 30% less. So that's the risk you took when everyone said, don't hold off, buy now. Yeah. So anyway,
the other frustration I'm getting...
Buyers aren't holding off. Buyers are buying the minute the price is right on a property. You asked me before, Lou, about what's the market doing. The market's the market. And I talked to a guy, not in our network, from another network who works in Newcastle, who I'm mates with, and he goes, "Oh mate, market's tough. No, it's not. Just price your houses properly." He goes, "What? There's something wrong with you. You're crazy." I'm like, "No." And not like I just said, I got a bottle of wine for getting sacked. I couldn't sell the property because it was overpriced. That was the only reason, and they took it off me after 5 months. Fair play, but they're still overpriced, right? Every time we get a price right now, the issue with the maths on all of it is 0.5% equals 5% for a buyer, but 5% for a buyer is equaling 10% for a house. Like the offers that are coming in and the amount we've got to market review properties, the difference is, so it's escalating the whole way down. So in some instances, I understand, like buyer who can only borrow 750 is about to be able to buy a house that used to be worth $1 million not that long ago, right? So it is what it is. And we did a big training session the other day just on getting the price right, and how important it is, because the danger in this market for agents who don't have a lot of stock and the market's bad is to just go in there and buy listings. But Jesus Christ, it's a lot of work to sit there for 6 months and not sell a property and
absolutely
not get paid and have the word of mouth get around because you've lied to your vendors and everything that goes with it. So it's just education, and it's just having the right conversations at the right time. TL's famous for saying list by price, die by price. It's all that
buyers
stuff.
I've been talking to have had some urgency about them. They find the right price, like you said, Kim, at the right home at the right price, they'll buy it. And I think they've got a little bit more urgency because they realise, as we were saying before, that if they don't buy within the 3 months and interest rates do go up 2 or 3 times, the next time they go for that loan, they will have a lower budget.
Capacity.
So I think there is a fair bit of urgency with the buyers as well. So it is, you know, get the price right and the property sell.
There's a bit of conspiracy. I read somewhere because initially they were going to be 3.5% by Christmas, the interest rate. So that means, but I think doing the 0.25% this time, we're probably no chance of getting there. But you know, I read somewhere that it was going to be, they'll ease it up into Christmas because the last thing the government wants is for people to have a bad Christmas and not buy their kids toys and then pick it back up again in the new year. And I mean, you just don't know. But I know the minute that they only did 0.25%, the stock market went straight back up. And unfortunately, down here and along the most of eastern New South Wales, there's massive rains for the weekend. So we probably won't get to see if there is a bit more confidence in the air or not. The P&O Foster Close is close to floating off down the hill again, so that's good. I've just been dealing with the drainage for the last half an hour before we get on.
Like wettest year we've had in 160 years.
Well, it's already beat, Sydney's already beat the yearly average. We've still got that 3 months to go.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And down your way, Steve, especially, I saw a flood warning come up on my phone this morning for the Nepean and Hawkesbury again. So
yeah, well, we're watching it now because when we drove across North Richmond Bridge on the way to work this morning, it was like, oh my goodness, how much has the water come up? It's already now at a minor flood warning, and it's actually gone up 2 meters since about 9 o'clock this morning.
Wow.
It's not raining down here now, so it's dropped down to think it's only rising at 7 centimetres an hour, but overnight it was rising at 20 centimetres an hour. But the minute we get some rain, it'll just ramp back up again. I mean, based on the 20 minutes an hour, it was going to take 22 hours to flood, but now it's down to 7. It's probably not too bad. But if we get there, I mean, I had Lions markets on Saturday. We've had to cancel those because it's like a swimming pool at the showground. So if we get the rain they're predicting, I have no doubt we'll see another flood. And whether, you know, Dominic announced yesterday that New South Wales is going to get an increase in the dam wall and it's going to be 14 metres higher, you know, maybe our grandkids might get to see that, but I don't think it's going to, the time to build 14 metres on that dam wall isn't going to happen anytime soon. So
we just need some of those Sydney developers in, mate. They can whack up an apartment complex in a month, mate.
And then it falls down the month after. But yeah, you know, like,
just get the Opal Tower builders in. Just get the Opal Tower builders in. And,
Steve, have you seen some properties coming on the market from those flood areas from the last 2 or 3 years that have been constantly being hit?
Definitely been out to some of them as well. And I mean, some of them are just so fed up they're going, and others think, no, you know what? We've actually installed, I went to a property a couple of months ago and they've installed I can't think what the board's called. It's like, but anyway, they've installed it so they can actually screw it off and take it off before the floodwaters come in. So it's like that, I think VJ board, they might call it. So it's got a nice pattern to it, but they've learned to take it off. Twice they've taken it off now because they've had it done the first. So it's their 3rd flood they've seen. Wow. And they just said, but they're not ready to go yet. Whereas other people are on the market now, but it makes it hard because when you know a property had flood water in the bottom story, it's not like we can sort of say when someone says the flood, the answer is yes, it did. Where did the water come up to? Probably your waist. So, but we'd sold one a couple of months ago that they moved out because of the flood, and the people exchanged contracts and it flooded that week, and they actually went round and the water came up to the same level it did, and they were happy because they knew we'd shown them why the air conditioner units had been raised up because they got flooded in the first, covered in the first flood. And they were happy. They were happy with what they bought and felt that it won't go inside the house. So everyone's different. Some people are concerned. Other people ring up and the first question is, they don't even say hello anymore. They go, does it flood?
Yeah.
And then you say, no, okay, my name's so-and-so, I'd like to talk to you. So you're definitely seeing it. But then some people have been there so long, they just accept it, you know, like, but I mean,
I'm at my auntie's house at the moment. It's was first off the lake in Chitaway Point, and it flooded, and it's flooded 5 times since it's been there. It's only got the house twice, but last time was the breaking point. And it's very interesting, somewhat refreshing, Stephen, to just go, does it flood? Hang on, I'll show you where the tide mark is. It's very there's no sugarcoating, there's no anything.
Absolutely.
And look, it's good to
my favourite F word, and now there's this F word, and I just say I've made a joke of it, and it just depends on which is your favourite F word. And we've had offers on it, but then people sort of sleep on it, and it's a big thing going into an area that gets water, and it is for some people, and it isn't for others.
I say others don't care, but then you've got the new factor that's coming in is that, you ask the seller how much their insurance is, and they go, oh, we don't have insurance, we can't afford it, or we've got it, but it's 10 grand a year now, so, but it's all, again, it's relative, some people have never seen a flood where they are. Some of the last flood, people who had never flooded, and people who expect to get flooded didn't get affected. So
yeah, wow.
We live in an area. I mean, 172 certificate. No, what are they called now? 10.7 certificates. They clearly say whether a property is affected by flooding or not. So, and if you build on a slab and the property is affected by flooding, in the 1 in 100 flood, there is a good chance it's going to come in the house. It's just that we've had 1 in 100 floods in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I think that terminology needs to be changed. That 1 in 100 year sort of thing. I think that needs to be changed.
Well, yeah, because now it's 1 in 3.
Yeah.
It's
3 in 1. It's 3 in 1.
So what do we? What's our topic, you guys? Cam?
Well, the holy grail of real estate. How do we have free time but also get the results we need? I'm not going to call it work-life balance because I believe that's rubbish. But how do we? We talked 2 weeks ago. I missed last week, but 2 weeks ago we were talking about the pendulum of people versus system and where we are at the moment in that cycle and what's going on. And a lot of the talk around people was helping them get what they want and giving them what they need, which in this new era is more time, free time apparently. So let's go. How do we get both? Because we need both. We can't have one.
Yeah, 100%. We need both. That's the critical part. I think we've covered a lot in the recent episodes of, what was a couple of weeks ago, it was results versus
Uses or results.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah, but we covered a lot, and I mean, I'm sure we're going to cover it again now, but there's a few basic things with results. I mean, how do you get those? Well, you've got to have a plan, you've got to have targets, you've got to have goals, you've got to have the right mastermind group, etc. But rather than rattling them off bang, 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 I suppose we better cover them a bit more in detail again.
Look, when I heard this, I thought of it. For me, it fell under 3 categories. It fell under, you either got to earn it, schedule it, or pay for it. So you either got to, and I'm not going to use the word work-life balance because Cameron doesn't like it, but results or free time, it falls into one of those 3 categories. It's really simple. And earn it is, I suppose, probably the biggest one that we all focus on initially in our careers.
But when you say earn it, what are you meaning? What do you like say?
Earn it is like you have to, Thomas's old saying is do what you have to do before you do what you want to do. And so, I have to do A to get B, or I have to achieve A to get B. Or the next one would be having small goals that you set up so you can achieve that, have that free time, because it has to be earned in that category. You have to earn that time off.
Do you think so, really, that you have to earn? Like, I mean, obviously we need to have results. That's no brainer. But do you necessarily have to earn time off?
So that's what I say. It falls under one of the 3 categories. That's just that category. It's either you earn it, pay for it, or schedule it. And that's what I was saying. Under that category for myself, it's you have to earn it.
It depends what role you've got in real estate. I mean, if you're in a target-based role, then your first thing that comes to mind is achieving your target. I mean, you can have all the holidays you want, but if you don't achieve your target in real estate, you'll be having the longest holiday of all. So,
is there a role in real estate that doesn't?
Pardon?
Is there a role in real estate that doesn't have target?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, some of them, I mean, reception and property management. I mean, some, BDMs have targets, but
huge targets.
Pardon?
Property management is hugely governed by targets a lot of the time.
Yeah, I guess more sometimes it depends. Some PMs are more workload than targets, but I guess you've also got to decide what time off means to, people. Like, we know the people who are absolute machines who are not having one day off because they want to build a life that can then lead them to have freedom and flexibility. You've got other people who can do their job now in 4 days better than they probably did in 5 days. And that 1 day extra freedom to add to the other two. So 3 days out of 3 days out of 7 of not working is more than enough for those people. So I guess you really got to define what people see it as in the first place. I mean, whether it's an extra day off in a week or it's taking 2 weeks off every 3 months or a week off every month or whatever you're choosing, then you can sort of go that little bit further and sort of plan what your results will be or what your target will be or how you'll achieve it.
I think for me, it's this. The trick was in the topic. There's no such thing as free time. Right?
You have to pay for it.
Everything comes at a cost. And the most expensive thing and the most important thing we have in life is time. Right? So to have time with money in the bank, the price is hard work. Right? To have time without doing hard work, the price is no money in the bank. You can't have it either way. So that's the first thing. Right? There is no such thing as free time. None. All right. It comes at a cost regardless. The second thing is free time, if we're going to keep calling it that, comes with the insinuation or the idea of a separate set of time, right? Time is time. If free time is all we're gaining for, that means all the other time you're a slave or you see it as a chore or it's too hard. So I think the first key in changing the mindset of having free time is to accept that time is time. And it's what you do with that time determines whether you find it free or not. So,
and the old saying is time is money. And exactly what you're saying, Cam, like time is, whether you call it free time, and as you said, you've got money in the bank and free time, or you've got no money in the bank but you've got free time, there's still a cost.
It's time, right? So I think the first thing is people need to find a passion or a purpose or a less stronger word than that in what they're doing every minute or during the day anyway. Because if you're enjoying what you're doing or it has a purpose, all of a sudden you're not thinking, shit, I need some free time. Shit, I need time, right? Because you're actually enjoying what you're doing. That's the first point I've written. What are our thoughts on that? I don't think there's any such thing as free time.
No, I've made similar train of thought on my side. Absolutely. You've got to, and I had a couple of friends like this. I haven't got the same mindset, but for them, work was work. And when they bundied off, when they clocked off, that was it. It was their time then. There was no mingling the two to a stage where work life and home life were completely separate. They didn't just have life. A lot of the people I've spoken to that are in real estate, or especially the owners, it's all one. Home and work, it's all one. It's all one line. It's all together. So that mindset of free time, it's just the time you've got to spend using it and spending it wisely. There's a saying, you've got so many minutes in a day, you know, what if you had someone take those minutes out of your account, all this sort of stuff. You've got to use it effectively. And if you can use it if you can get more work done in the hours that you're at work, it will allow you to do more of what you want to do, whether that is more work or family time and so forth afterwards. But it all is it's all linear.
So, and to go back to something you said, Lou, I haven't got to pick a fight with you for 2 weeks, so it's been good. Here we go.
Here we go.
You sort of looked at Chris with your eyebrows raised, saying, "Do you believe you actually have to earn time off?" Yes, if you want to do it with money in the bank, 100% you have to earn it. 100% you have to earn it, and it doesn't matter what level you're at. And it doesn't matter whether, like, if you've just started in real estate, 100% you need to earn that, right? And you're mad if you don't, because you've just started and you need to build. If you've been in the game for a little bit longer, King Oaf, you need to earn that time off. You don't just, it's not a given if you want to do it with money in the bank. The problem is everyone wants all the good things in life. Everyone wants time. Everyone wants time with the kids. God knows I'm one of them. Everyone wants to travel. Everyone wants to do everything. But who's going to pay for all of that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Someone's got it. So 100% you've got to earn it. If you're a business owner, do you have to earn? We talk about the honeymoon period, man. That's I don't like it. Lou and I, we've had a blue about it, but you got to earn the right.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily disagree with that you have to earn it. I think the thing is and the angle that I came from with this topic, and I didn't know, and it's your topic, Cam, so I don't know what angle you were coming from, but when I first looked at it, the biggest thing I thought was, like, there needs to be a momentous shift in mindset of people since COVID particularly, that a lot of people, worked hard and would spend more time at work than with their family. They didn't necessarily see the reason why, or they should or could do that. And I think COVID shifted a lot of that when people were forced to work from home and whatever else, and then they actually went, oh, hang on, this is actually not so bad, and whatever else. I think the whilst yes, you have to earn it, I think a lot of people have stayed busy for the wrong reasons as well. And we've talked about this before on the podcast, where people have stayed busy to, that's where they get their significance from. And if I'm doing this, then people will think this of me. And, that's as a husband, a wife, or whatever, whichever way. I think what I'm trying to say is, yes, it still has to be earned, but we've also got to be okay with accepting that that free time and holidays or whatever else is okay. Like we charge our phone every night. We service our car every 10,000 Ks. I change the filter in my fridge every 3 months. Like, we do all these things to maintain objects, but yet when it comes to ourselves, when do we actually allow ourselves the time to maintain ourselves?
The point is, there's too many people wanting time to maintain themselves without paying the price first, right?
Yeah, I get that.
That's the second part of the cost. Right?
I get that, but what the point I was trying to make is, people need to know, and I think people realise now from COVID, that it's okay, and you're not frowned upon to say, I want to take a week off with my family every quarter. I want to get my results, and if I'm allowed to go home at 3 o'clock, I'm going to take it and not feel as though I'm going to be judged for that, or I'm not working as hard as everybody else, or that I don't care about my job anymore. People have realised the value of free time, I think, but it's the mind that's got to catch up to the idea that that's actually okay. That's where
I'd agree with that. People have trouble, and I'm guilty of it myself. If I've had 2 days off in a row, I start getting itchy and going, oh shit, I probably should be back at work. Right? And that's.
But I think that's where we, again, it goes to everyone's different. I mean, I don't disagree that you need money to probably go out and have that free time, because there's not much you can do except laying on the beach without the money. But the thing is, not everyone wants that. I think, and you really hit it when you said, Lou, the world's changed.
Yeah.
Since COVID, I don't think money is the most important thing to, I'm not saying people in real estate, but to a lot of them out there, because you can just tell that lifestyle has become more important. And who's paying for it? Probably no one.
That's the thing, Stephen. I've used the word money a bit, but money is the lifestyle, right? there's people who want nothing but money, and I 100% agree with you. Money isn't the most important thing, but you bloody well need it because you can't live without it, right?
Yeah.
But people want the lifestyle. And the good news is, which is the reason I had the topic, there is a way you can have both.
Yeah,
right?
and that is right.
I changed the question when I sent it into the group, change it to how to instead of whatever the first thing I said, because it's how to have both.
I think that when it comes to cost, and sorry, Chris, as you said, Cam, our most precious and valuable commodity in our life is time, because once it's gone, it's gone. We can't get it back. We can't buy it back. We can't trade it back. It's gone. And one of the things I read during COVID is if, working those 80-hour weeks and being just robots and machines on autopilot and living by a to-do list and spending 30 minutes on average a week with your spouse because it was all work, work, work. If we don't make time for our wellness, we'll be forced to make time for our illness because it's coming. You cannot sustain that lifestyle anymore. And having free time and time with family and friends or whatever it is, yeah, there's a cost. I don't disagree, but there's a bigger cost if you keep doing what you're doing and die of a heart attack at 55 years old.
The issue, Lou, is I think that, and I've said this before a number of times, and I really honestly believe this, humanity has a very, very short memory, very short memory. Very, very short memory. Yeah, I forgot what I was saying. It's that short, right? And I think give it 2 or 3 years, we'll be back to the normal grind that we were pre-COVID. And people will forget the fact that they enjoyed time with their family and so forth, and all those benefits. I think where our saviour is going to be is in the millennials and younger. They're going to want purpose in their life a lot more than sort of we have, or the older generation have. For them, it's going to be about working for a reason, and whether it's a cause or for themselves. So that may drive their work-time balance a little bit more. But I think people have short memory. So the COVID sort of flu, for want of a better word, won't last that long. And we'll get back to the normal. The pendulum will start to swing the other way. But you're right,
It has changed, though, mate. It has changed the mindset of, like even Macca's is having trouble getting staff at the moment, right? Because COVID has changed that mindset of, I don't want to work. I just want to live. But living comes at a cost.
Comes at a price. And
you know what won't last long? Because, to Stephen's point, the bank account's going to be empty, mate.
It's got to be paid for.
But we've talked before.
The reason we had trouble during COVID is the government was paying everyone to stay at home. Now that has had a residual effect. And again, Steve, I'm not saying money is everything, all right? But and I've mentioned this lyric on this podcast many times before. Silverchair says, they say that money isn't everything, but I'd like to see you live without it. So the good news is, like I said before, we're going around in circles a bit. The good news is you can actually have both, and let's turn it towards now, how can you actually have both? So point number 3 I wrote, and Chris has already touched on some of it, was hard work plus time management equals the opportunity for balance, right? We can work at 50% for 8 hours, or we can work at 100% for 4 hours and get the same work, if not more, done. Now, one of those gives us the opportunity for balance. The other one leaves us wishing for balance, because we sit there for 8 hours working half-assed to our capacity, not fulfilling our potential. We then fill up the whole day with nothing but that half-assery, and then we go home wishing we had more time.
Yeah.
I think that, if you use one of our examples, Lou, I mean, one of our guys has opted to work 4 days of the week instead of 5. And I can tell you, he's just as productive, if not better, than when he worked 5. And we're not bothered, because he still does what he has to do. He's there to attend to people. But his own mindset is better, because it's like you just said, Cam, he would spend 5 days doing 50% or 60% of what he could do, because he wasn't rested, he was needing a break, and he wasn't having it. Now he has 3 days totally unrelated to real estate, and can walk back in and go, right, I've only got 4 days. I need to go compete with some people. Let's go. So, it hasn't cost him financially to do it. It's improved his mindset.
It's actually probably
his
improved.
results are better.
Yeah.
And his bank account's better just because he's then been able to go 100% at it.
But
Now, here's the kicker, though. Do you really think those 3 other days have nothing to do with real estate?
Oh, look, I'm sure not, because he doesn't. But again,
But it's the
it's
perception
his
of what-
mindset though that he thinks he's not. Whether
That's
he
the
answers the
perception.
phone,
That's the
and that's the
perception of
difference,
what
I guess. We're not talking a factory worker like Chris might have been talking about, who can clock off at 4 o'clock and walk out the door and doesn't have to think about the production line until 7 o'clock the next morning. We're in an industry where our clients don't care. One of my girls in property management told me the other day that her landlord called her 3 times at 1:30 in the morning. And I said, did you answer? She said, well, yeah, the 3rd time I decided I better. And I said, see, you did it wrong. They should have waited at least till, but people don't care when they call us what they do. So it's that mindset of making ourselves available for people. And, I'm always there. I can do what I want, or we can do it, like it's again, but it's a personal.
He's going into that 3 days going, work's done, right? I've done the work, right? And straight away we know when you get a to-do list and there's 10 things on it and you tick off all 10 things, very rarely happens for me, but when you actually do it, you go, shit, I'm okay to go to bed tonight. I'm okay to actually sleep tonight. So for your worker to get through 4 days at 100%, he's leaving on that 4th day going, yep, I've earned it. And then I guarantee he's still talking to clients in that 3 days and doing that stuff. But all of a sudden, his free time, which isn't free time, right? He doesn't see it as a chore because, yep, I'm sitting at home or I'm wherever I am, and I can answer an email or a text message or whatever. That's the whole
real
point.
estate, right? That's real estate, though. In reality, that is real estate.
And I think
but there is a difference, Chris. You work 5 or 6 days at 70% or 60%. You don't achieve the result during the week. So all of a sudden you're going into that weekend or that day off on a Sunday feeling pretty low and wondering where the next result's coming from. And then a buyer texts you and says, can I see this house? And your mind explodes and you want to throw the phone against the wall. And then all of a sudden it's real estate's fault that you don't have any time for yourself anymore. And it's real estate's fault that you don't get to go to the kids' sport. And it's real estate's fault instead of going, shit, if I had just worked at a higher output when I was meant to, right? And here's the thing, that's what I want to get across to people, right? Your time is yours. You can go in Call of Duty, like you guys are all too old for Call of Duty, maybe not Lou, but Chris.
Yeah.
Call of Duty, I use this analogy with the team a lot because I've got a young team. They don't when you're playing the free for all, they don't rank you on how many people you've killed. They rank you on how many points you score per minute. Your points per minute, right? So you can sit there for 20 minutes in the game and kill 20 people, or you can be in the game for 3 minutes before you get killed, but kill 18 people and you're ranked a lot higher. So I remind the team a lot, what are your points per minute at the moment? It's working at 100% when you're at work to earn the not being at 100% when you're not at work. And that's where people miss it. The real estate then turns into a 7-day-a-week, 24-hour-a-day job. And then the worst thing is they tell other people that. No wonder we have trouble getting recruits instead of just going working balls out while you could. Right? And that's I think that's bloody brilliant. 4 days a week, that'll sign me up.
So the topic was results and free time, and how do we have both? So we all agree that we can have both. Yeah.
Yep. Well, I don't think there's such thing as free time. So results and time.
Yeah.
Right?
Free time, your time, family time, whatever time.
It depends what someone thinks. Like, it's just a play on words for us that there's no free time. But, if someone believes they're not sitting at their desk and they're not rostered on for the day, then that's their free time. That's what they believe. If you think your free time is 7 o'clock when you turn your phone off of a night, then it's what everyone individually believes. So we just have to go with the wording free time because that's the topic,
Exactly.
So I've got 5 points.
Yep.
All right. Number 1.
So is this with regards to how do you have both, Cam, or is this
How do
just...
you have both?
Okay. Yeah.
It's really easy, and I think we've covered most of it here, but one we haven't mentioned, upskill yourself. Get better at your job, no matter what your job is. If you're a prospector, instead of being a 1 in 100 prospector, how much more time would you have if you were a 1 in 50 prospector? If you're a listing agent, instead of listing 1 in 2, how about listing 3 out of 4? How much more time are you going to have? If you're a leader, upskill your leadership, because if you had a team of people that were 3 out of 4 listers, how much more time are you going to have rather than having to do it all yourself?
Then the funny thing is, to achieve that, Cam, you have to invest time to have more time to yourself.
No such thing as free time, baby.
But
More time.
how many people say though, Chris, that oh, I don't have time to go to the gym and I don't have time to do this. You have 24 hours a day. You have time. You're just not prioritizing that thing that you're saying you don't have time for, you know? So I think the thing is, like what Cam's saying, upskilling yourself, be it a salesperson, a leader, or whatever you are, you always have time. You've just got to make that a priority in your life to do that. And
but I think, Lou, that's where people have got to decide what's important to them.
Yeah.
Because if going to the gym, like I haven't got time to go to the gym, like I'll never go. But you know what? That's because it's not important to me.
Yes.
You know, if having time off with the grandkids or having time off with my wife or going away is important to me, then I will go make it happen. But a lot of the time, the things people don't have time for, it's just like, it's just an easy way. It's an excuse. I don't have time. I didn't even really want to do it, is the truth. So, you know, I think it comes back to the goals. If people have got goals of what they really want to achieve and they're real goals, that they would do anything. We all say, if one of us had to find $1 million to go and save a family member, we would somehow go to work and find it, or rob a bank, but we would make it happen.
But there's still a way you can do it and go to the gym in the afternoon if you want to. And that's the whole point. Because everything we talk about, all set goals, and if you really want it, you'll do it. To most people, it just sounds like so much hard work, right? And it is. Yeah. But let's work hard for 4 hours or 5 hours instead of 16 every day. There's a very good book. When I hadn't thought of it when I come up with the topic, but thinking about the topic, there's a very good book I read 7 years ago, and I know it was 7 years ago because I had a look the other day and it still had my plane ticket from Sydney Airport where I bought the book. And it was the 23rd of May 2015 on my birthday. I was flying to the Gold Coast. And it's called Winning and Losing. It's 66 strategies of succeeding in life and business without losing balance, right? Or how to have balance and do both. It's pretty much this topic. And a simple thing they brought up was if someone's driving an hour each way to work, they lose 1 month of the year. 1 month calculated.
Yeah, wow.
But if you use that hour each day to listen to an audio book to upskill yourself, all of a sudden you haven't lost that time. You've gained time.
And they also said in that same thing, 1 hour a day for 1 year is equivalent to 1 university degree.
So it's about, my point before was hard work plus time management. It's how you manage that time. Yes, you've got to work out what's important to you, but I know what's important to me. There's people who question us sitting here on this podcast, right? They go, don't these people have work to do? Yeah, and that's the truth. You say it out there, and people who are watching, you know you've said it. You know you've said it to my face. There's no issues. We don't have to hide from it. Don't you have work to do, isn't it? You know, but to have this time, which is still growth, because we're learning every day. Every day we learn how bad Chris is at picking wine, and every time we do it, we're learning a new Brene Brown quote. And every time we do it now, we're learning that Steve doesn't know how to focus a camera in the right spot.
But you're right,
to have that time.
And
worked my ass off this morning, right? I've been to 5 appointments. I've done X, Y, Z. Don't have to rattle them off, but that's fine. But I'm comfortable sitting here because the work is done.
Yeah, but that's also part of the mind shift thing that I think needs to happen too. When people sit there and go, well, don't these people have work to do? These people don't know that probably 3 nights this week, I was doing my study at 2 o'clock in the morning because that's the time I had where I didn't have anything else on, you know. And so, like you said, you know, this is growth. I mean, we put a lot into, we don't just come up with a topic and not discuss it and you know, wing it on the day. We all put time and effort and energy into researching it, or, you know, reading about it or whatever we do, you know. So that's a mindset change. But I'm interested, Cam, when you say you don't think work-life balance is a thing, what do you mean? Like, you think it's not possible?
Because work is life and life is work, and it's
Yeah.
all one thing. The problem I have with it is we're separating work and life.
Yeah.
And it goes to my point before. How do you perceive what you're actually doing every day? If turning up is work for you instead of living, then maybe you're not in the right place. Like, I view what I do every day as part of my life, not as I've got to go to work now, or I've got to live now. And that the minute you stop making that distinction, that's why I picked on the free time thing. It's separating this chunk, what I do with this part of my life, with what I do with this part of my life. No, it's all one. It's all one. And until you understand that and accept that, you'll always be looking for free time. The minute I worked out, oh, hang on, it's all. I used to. If you go back to the early podcasts, I used to talk about my PlayStation time. I've got to have my PlayStation time. I've got to have my PlayStation time. If I don't get my PlayStation time, I'm gone very soon. I burn out. I do this. I do that. And it might have even been TL who pointed out to me, work and life, it's all the same thing. And the minute you stop thinking that they're separate, you'll stop wanting more of one and less of the other. And it's exactly right. I know that your guy doesn't switch off for 3 days, Tomo, because I know that everything I do here, I still am invested in work to some degree at some point in time. But I know it's okay if I've earned the right, and if the results are there, and I know I can be sitting in the sauna and thinking about work versus being at work bashing my head against the wall because I haven't put the work in. So that's why I don't like the work-life balance.
That's the difference for necessarily us, because we're all leaders. We've all got teams. We've got people who rely on us. So I think it's a little bit harder for us to necessarily switch off. But we all know people who, if they don't switch off the minute they get home, their partners are making them switch off. I mean, over the years, I've known...
They're not switching off. If they're champions,
they're not. They're also not productive, because whilst they're not switched off, they're not doing anything that is going to help them get a future result or anything when they're not allowed to touch their phone from the minute they walk in the door. You know, so again, it's not only the individual you've got, it's the outside forces of kids or family or wives or husbands or whatever it might be, because, you know, I've had...
It's all got to be one. That's even more of a reason for work and life to not be separated, right? Because it is.
But you know what? For us, I love that. You know, we have team members to our home. We go out in what people would consider their time with team members, you know. So to us, they're all part of our family. So, you know, we think of it that way. But I mean, I know staff I've had over the years who would never, ever turn up to a team event because the attitude in that family was, that's work, that's my personal time.
That's what I was saying before.
And I'm not saying it's right, but that, you know, I had someone say to me many years ago, if you want me to come to a team event, you put it on during work time, because Saturday night is not work time. Sorry. You know, now that's...
Yeah, but how did they, so...
Well, again, I said...
How did it pan out for them, mate?
Well, that's right. No longer in real estate. They probably went...
That's the thing. The first point is... Point number one, step number one, it's always going to start with accept that there's no such thing as free time.
Yeah.
Your partners have to grow together or grow apart, right? We've just been doing some of that stuff. You need to be in a supporting surround for this to work for you, right?
Definitely. This industry, if you don't have support, you're not going to make it.
Part of that is realising there's no such thing as... Everyone has to realise there's no such thing as free time. There's no such thing as free family time. As much as that sucks, that's life, man. It doesn't come for free. You can't just go 5 o'clock, rest of the world shuts off, now it's this time. Can't happen, shouldn't happen.
But I think it's important though, Cam, when you do have sort of family time, that it is undisturbed. It is like phones off or phones on mute and so forth. So if you're going out to that, I don't know if you want to call it date night or family dinner or whatever you want to call it, right? phones have got to be off. I mean, Ivan.
I get it, and I 100% agree. But again, that comes at a cost. The cost is you've already done the work, right?
Yeah. Or you've got to do the work later to catch up. One of the two.
You can have the phone off and you can switch off, because point number two, I'll backtrack a little bit. Point number two I had was set block times for everything, right? The way I do what I do is I have reminders set in my phone for 16 things I've got to do every single morning, and they have to be done, and they get done at that time. And I know at the end of that time, I've done most of what I have to do for the day. The intangibles like listing appointments and buyer appointments and stuff like that, that's not something you can necessarily plan for every day, but 100% focus while you're doing whatever you're doing. So I get in the morning and I do my hours of whatever, and by the time I finish that, most of the day is still left, right? Most of the day is there for me to do what I want to do, and most of the time that's going to be listing appointments in different pieces, but I can go to a school event, I can go to the kids, and I can do whatever I want to do. So if we're talking about how to, I know we joked about, well, didn't joke, I hate structure. It's Tomo, I live off chaos, mate, like I said, but just structuring that time so you can be 100% while you're there is really important to how you get it done.
And that's even the difference. There's some people who are going to lap up block time.
Yeah.
And then there's people who absolutely resent block time, but will sit there and go and work on a structured day, not realizing they're exactly the same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
You know, it's like free time and no free time, but you talk block time, and I've had people who totally object, but you know what? I'm happy to prospect every day between 10 and 12.
Yeah. Same thing.
You know,
terminology.
But it's just the terminology that everyone rolls differently. So
I've just said schedule it and do it, because the feeling that you have once you're done, like old mate has after he's done his 4 days of 100% work, mate, it's freedom, it's liberating. And to do that when you're on, you've got to be on. There's no half-assing it. If you're going to do this and give yourself the opportunity for balance, manage your time, you have that little bit of structure and you go at it balls out. You don't get distracted. You ride your energy, but you've got to also guard that energy from all the succubuses, because for every person who wants to set their structure and rip in at the start of the day so the rest of the day can be theirs, there's going to be someone who's trying to tear them down from that, and you have to guard that with your life. I believe you've got to keep it.
But that's hard, and I think that's your big problem. That's easy to say that, and there's some people who are very good at it, but that guarding your time and guarding your day to some people is as easy as trying to achieve goals. And
that's you want to have the holy grail. We're talking about how to have the holy grail, results on the board and time, right? You have to do it. So you can't say I want more time, but then pander to every Tom, Dick and Harry and everyone who's trying to ruin your life, right? You can't have both.
But you still have to have goals as well, because if you've got no goals, there's still no reason for doing any of it. Okay, so I think like, so we can give people some strategies here. Let's just quickly go around. I mean, it's very simple. How do you get strategies are pretty good, you know.
It all flows into where Chris was going. I'm just trying to get there in a logical way so that it makes sense, right?
Yeah. So what's your number one then?
So let's just go around and all give a tip on results, and then we can give
number one was upskill yourself, right?
Yep.
Because the easier your job is, and the easier it is, the quicker you'll do it.
Yeah.
The quicker you do something, the more what you've got. Right.
So, Chris, go.
Mine would be schedule it. And when you schedule, it needs to be, like Cam was saying, it needs to be focused. So if you're scheduling...
Are you talking about results, though? Because I think what we need to do is...
I'm talking about both.
That's how you get results, right? You get results by having 100% focused schedule, which is what we're just talking about. Set time.
So if you have but even that schedule can be family time, whether it's with the kids at this events or whatever, and it's got to be focused on them at that time. And I think that's where we were getting caught up before about people answering their phones at home and so forth. If you've got it scheduled to be with the family, be with the family. You've got it scheduled to prospect, whatever it may be.
Here's where I keep catching you, Chris. You can't just schedule the family time, right? You have to, we're talking about getting results and having time. If your family time is scheduled all the time, you will preference that over the other stuff.
No. So what I'm getting at is, if a lot of people who are very busy will fail to schedule that time for the family. and then the pendulum will be favoured one way or the other, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So I think both needs to be balanced, and that's what I'm saying. It needs to be scheduled.
You have to. Real estate's got a high divorce rate for a reason, because there are some people that are just so driven they forgot they had a partner or a family and just kept on going ahead, pushing for that next result, and don't realise what they've left behind.
Or they're not making the most of the hours they got, which is a point.
Potentially.
Yep, that's true. But still, it doesn't matter whether they did it or not. The result is they've got a lot more time to spend now because they're on their own. Or they're then suddenly forced to have every second Saturday off because they have to see their kids every second Saturday and can't work in real estate anymore.
You're going to love my last point. You're all going to love my last point, but I don't believe you can get to the last point unless you do the others. And that was...
Hang on. Go on, Lou. Hang on. Come to that later, Cam. So, Lou, what do you reckon?
I'm just trying to, for those that are listening, and look, we've got a lot of new recruits that haven't done real estate for very long, if at all, so I think we need to spell it out clearly. And that's why I said results is pretty simple. We've touched on many things. Have goals, have a plan, have a mastermind group, know your numbers, care about the people, follow up. 80% of business is won in the follow up, be that a listing or a sale. So I think we just want to spell it out that there's a way in which the easy part is getting results. And I think, and this is where the mind shift needs to happen. The hard part for a lot of people is allowing and accepting that it's okay to have free time. And like you said, Chris, scheduling that free time. I think it is, Ken, because what is the... What
bullshit, Lou, because we know the majority of people, we know what the percentage of successful real estate agents there are, right? And that means that the majority that aren't are the ones who won't do anything that you just mentioned, but still want the time, right? That's not, I think it's very important that the people who are working too hard and doing too much at the sacrifice of their family and all that stuff, stop, have a gut check, and look at what they're doing and understand that it's okay. I don't disagree with you, but they are the minority, mate. They are. I know one. You know what? I know one who I believe is completely out of control when it comes to how much they're working and the hours they're doing, right? I know one.
I get that, Cam. And that's...
I know 100 that go to work and still want the rest to go with it.
But that's the point I'm trying to make, is we've got to take this... We've got to get this mind shift. Like a lot of people, how many people they say, well, we ask the question, do you work to live or do you live to work?
I don't think that's not where, I don't think we're helping the majority there, Luke. We're not helping the majority. A lot of people are stuck in that mindset, where they think that they've got to live to work. You know what I mean? Whereas, no, you just work to live. And going back to Stephen's point is, yeah, you know what? It's all good to have money and everything that money can buy. But if you don't take a breath every now and then and look around and see that you've still got around you things that money can't buy, health, happiness, family, marriages, children, all of that. Talking to the minority, Lou, you're talking to a 15th of it, because at the moment, most people don't want to work and they're looking for the easy way out. So I'm trying to give them the easy way of having everything.
Yeah, I don't, and I'm not disagreeing with you there, but I still think when you say minority, I still think there's a lot of people, and I have to say, I think a lot of men are still in that mindset. Like I see it in my own relationship, for example. If Steve-O's not working from sun up to sun down, in his mind, he hasn't done enough that day. And for him to be okay with coming in before the bloody sun goes down, it's taken a hard thing for him to go, oh God, am I going to be judged by not working hard enough or whatever if I come in 2 hours early? Well, no, because that 2 hours early for me means the world, as opposed to sitting here going, Jesus, is he ever going to come inside and spend time with me? And I think for blokes that's a hard thing to change. So I'm not. I know there might be the minority there, Cam, but
it's a different subject, mate. That's a different topic.
I think what Cam's trying to say, Lou, is there's a lot of people out there that they want all the free time and want all the luxuries, but aren't willing to work for it.
Well, look, 80% of our industry in sales lives on the base wage. It's a common fact.
That's the point. So I'm talking to the 80%.
It's the 80% who are probably already enjoying the lifestyle because they don't. But you know what? Are they really? Because chances are they're not. They're like Cam says, on their day off, they're still thinking about what they probably haven't done or what they should be doing next time they go and do it. Or why do I hear people earning $250,000 a year and I'm living on 50? You know, and then of course they've got the pressures from home because, you know, the spouse is talking to someone who just earned 120 this year and you're still on 50, and why are you doing that? And they just bought a new car and we're still driving one from 10 years ago. Like, they're the pressures. So they are the people we're trying to talk to. But at the end of the day, they're the people I also believe who really lack the goals. When we do goal setting with the team,
goals, mate, they've got to know how to get them. It's okay saying I want this, right? They've got to know how they can do it, and that's where they're falling down. Lou, I'm in the same boat as Steve, right? And I'm getting much better at it. But I said before, if I have 2 days off in a row, I start getting real antsy, man. My anxiety goes right up, the guilt sets in, all this stuff. And it's only shit society's put on us, and it's only worrying about what other people think. It's only NGE and feeling like we're not good enough, right? That's a different thing. But you know what? That's much easier to fix than someone who wants everything handed to them on a platter, doesn't understand there's hard work to do it. And then the people who I want to help, which is the people who want to do it, who really want to do the hard work, don't understand that they can do the hard work and have the time, right? That's the point, which we can now. We can. We 100% can.
But I think that's where it's changed.
When you're on, you're on. As long as when you're on, you're on. Now, Chris's favourite thing, if you've upskilled yourself and made your job easier, if you're 100% focused when you're actually doing the work, your points per minute are high. If what was point number 2? Sorry, hang on. I was on a roll there. We'll get there. If you've guarded your energy from everybody else and all your distractions, then you're going to have results, right? That's a given. The system's unbroken. If you've done everything you're supposed to do, which means point number 5 is when you're off, you're off. But you can't have it both ways. You can't be scheduling family time and I've got to take the kids to school and I've got to pick the kids up from school and I've got to fill the bank account and I'm not going to do any work to it. You can't do the whole lot. Point number 5 is when you're off, you're off. And that took me a long time. Someone whispered in my ear, if they like the house yesterday, they're still going to like it on Monday. You'll be okay.
Yeah.
Still hasn't totally solved the problem for me because I still get anxious. The phone buzzes and I'm like, holy shit. Right?
Yeah.
What was point 4? I heard 3 and I heard 5. What was 4?
Well, it was only when you're on, you're on. So then when you're off, you're off. And my point number 5 is going to be find the good, right? Because it takes just as much energy. We spend so much energy finding shit in the day. The reason people don't like their work or think they're working all the time is they're always finding the negatives in it, right?
Yeah.
If we find the good in what we're actually doing, which takes just as much energy, we'll feel much happier about what we're doing. All of a sudden, we won't need free time from it so often.
Yeah.
There's so much gratitude. Not really gratitude, finding the good, but gratitude and finding the good in things is so underrated and so not spoken about. Oh, I had a bad day. What happened? Well, at 9:05, this happened. I'm like, well, okay, well, you had a bad 9:05. Did you have a bad day?
Yeah.
And I'm guilty again.
Bad day, not a bad life, is what I say.
I'm not guilty of it. So
yeah.
You rip in for the first 5 hours of the day. You do everything you said you were going to do. The result will come from it. You promise. Then you've got the rest of the day to decide. You can decide to stay at work, Lou. To your point, you can decide to stay. Right? I thought it was a good idea in my first 18 months in real estate to go to work every day off because I could either sit at home playing the PlayStation or I'd go to work and make $20,000. I had the choice. Right? I had the choice, and I probably wish I'd taken a few more days off, but the choice has got me to where I am today. And am I complaining about that? No way, no how.
Yeah.
That's my point. Right? I don't think too many people look straight away for how can I have more time instead of going, how can I get more results to get that time? That's the problem. Fuck, I finally got there. I was trying to articulate my point. We're all sitting here going, it's okay to have time and have more time, and it's okay to switch your phone off. No, it's not. Until you've got the result, and then you can have all the ones in the world. This is Stephen. You're the king of it. You send them home if they get a result for the day. You don't send them home before they get a result for the day, do you?
No.
No.
They get their result at 3 o'clock, they're off home. I agree. You do the work, you get the time, but I think that's where the industry's changed. Because who would have thought, even 5 years ago, letting people go because they got a result for the day? Who would have thought that we'd be going up to staff saying, listen, every 3 months, every quarter, you must have a week off now? Who would thought we'd entertain people being in sales?
Yeah, but is that still, let me ask you this, is that still someone who hasn't hit base?
What's that?
You're telling your staff they have to have a week off every quarter? Is that someone who hasn't hit base and hasn't done their job?
Look, at the end, it's still important to have that time, and look,
earn it.
Pardon?
No, right, earn it.
Yeah, Cam, it's that is true. You do have to earn it, but sometimes you've got to nudge people in that direction because it's for the greater good.
Yeah, no, I would say yes. The answer to that is yes, whether they've made target or not, because the ones who've made target have earned it and can go and have a rest, and the ones who haven't made target are probably so worn out from chasing their tail that, you know what, you've probably stuffed this quarter anyway. Go have a week off, have a break, and come back ready to go next quarter.
And the other thing is too, just on that, and we've had, look, people, we're all human. Not everybody, most of us have good quarters. Some have exceptional quarters consistently, but we're all human. Things happen. People might experience a death of a family member, a tragic event or something, and it wrecks their quarter.
We're not talking about that. We're
No,
talking
but
about
you're
every
saying
quarter, quarter have a week off.
Yeah.
Isn't
okay.
it like the participation medal the kids get
What's
at
the
school?
point? What's the point?
Because, like I said, some people need to be nudged in that for the greater good we know the value of that week off with their family. And it's like their birthdays, for example. We don't let people work on their birthdays.
I'm not talking about being, as a leader, assessing the situation and going, this person needs time, right? I'm not talking about that. The word used was compulsory. They have to have a week off every quarter. Right now, I know that sometimes, especially early on, it might take 2 months of the quarter of working with someone and trying to work out where they're at to finally get them on the right page. So that last month of the quarter, yes, they're not going to make any money for that quarter, but you give them the next week off the first quarter, you've completely ruined that quarter for them too. So the word I've got a problem with is compulsory. Of course, people have deaths in the family and all that stuff, and as leaders, it's our job to think, but to just go, to turn up and go, well, doesn't matter what I do this quarter, I'm getting a week off at the end. No way that's helping. No way.
It depends.
No way.
It depends on how you look at it though, Cam.
That's how I look at it. There's no way.
Yeah, but see, this is where...
And you know what happens on that week off? They sit there and go, one or two things. Oh, I really don't deserve this week off. I really did nothing. And they feel worse about themselves. Or they go, how good is this? How good is this? Not only have I not done what I said I would do, not only have I not done what I had asked to do, but I'm still on holidays.
Yeah, but Cam, the difference is you got to look at the bigger picture. It's the mindset of the person. And they could be sitting there. But they
holiday, no matter what.
No.
But that's not true, Cam, because that person's then going to be worked very closely through. If they didn't make target, they're going to be worked very closely through that next quarter anyway. So it's easy to say that.
And the point behind
the
reason why we do it, okay, is this: we understand that the value of people's time. Now, if they didn't make target, for example, at the end of the day, they still deserve to spend some time with their family at the end of the quarter. They've still put in what they put in. But like I said, people wouldn't be with us 15, 20 years if they weren't performers, and so we're all human. We have bad quarters and whatever else. But we also want to send them a message that we understand that whilst work is important, your family comes first at the end of the day. And if you have that week, knowing whether you've made it or not, that you've got that time to reset, refresh, rebuild, give yourself a mindset change, or whatever you want to call it, then they know they've got that coming to help them reset. You don't give them the time off and you're straight back into the next quarter with the duck egg, no time with family, no time to reset goals, to mind shift. They're going to do nothing anyway. So you might as well, you know what I mean? So that's isn't it, Stephen? That's our mindset around it.
And we look at
Can I say this with the current price of houses? And I'm going to be very unpopular, but I'm going to say it anyway. you're not making base with the current price of houses in a quarter, you've had 12 weeks off. You don't need another week.
Oh, look, and that's true, but that's why, you know, any real estate agent that hasn't made money in the last 2 years probably should leave now. Exactly.
Not if they're getting 4 weeks guaranteed at the end of every week, at the end of every quarter.
They're making money. We never used to do this, Cam, prior to COVID. You know what I mean? So this is just a thing that we realize.
I mean, Lou, in your
it becomes an entitlement instead of a. The problem is if it's guaranteed and it's compulsory, it becomes another entitlement. And good luck ever reining it back in.
But I think you've got to look there. There's always the circumstances of every individual. There are some people who might not even make it to when their week's going to be off, because if they haven't been working along the way, then that could be the case. But I mean, during COVID, we changed the Port and Foster team to work every second Saturday because we couldn't have that many people in the office. We've continued that now. So as agents, they're still earning target, they're still making money, and they have every second Saturday off because that's something that they just work what would have been their rostered day off in the following week. So that's worked for us because we're still running 2 or 3 people every Saturday and then 2 or 3 people the next Saturday, enough to cover what we've got to do. And everyone knows that they're getting a day off every second weekend. It doesn't make them work any less. In fact, I think sometimes it makes them go to work harder. And when the guy around the corner says, why don't you come work for me? It's like, well, I'll be getting every second Saturday off. And they go, in your dreams? It's like, yep, that's why I'm not going anywhere. See you later.
Yeah, I think.
Question on that. Just a question on that. The guys that do a good quarter, and at the end of that 3 months, they get their week off. How do you reward them? I mean, sure, they get their bonus check and so forth, but doesn't that week off sort of diminish in value for them if everyone's getting it, even those who haven't succeeded?
Not really.
No, because I don't think anyone looks like that. I think they're happy to be rested and know that, you know, and anyone who's done it, they get to do it in the last month if they think they've got no more left in them, or they take the first week off and then come back 7 days later instead of the first of the month and kick off their next quarter.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, Chris, you know, again, bigger picture, we realize that as a team, we're only as strong as our weakest link. And so, you know, fair enough, you reward them with 1 week off every quarter, but everybody's got to feel that refreshed energy and be able to get going again that next quarter. So yeah, I see where you're coming from, but the other guys that have made it and go, well, why aren't I getting a special reward, or why do they still get a week off if they haven't made it? They understand that time off for that person is going to help them next quarter, and that's going to help me, because the better we are as individuals, the better we are as a team.
Do you guys take
we just spent a whole podcast talking to people about how hard you have to work to get time, and you've just said, nah, we'll give them time anyway. Like it just. No,
but Cam, the thing is, people watching this or whatever, they're not stupid. We all know time is money. What you put in is what you get out. We've covered that, like, as you say, but we're not saying that you don't have to work hard. You still have to work hard. You still have to earn time, free time, as you call it.
You just said you don't.
No, but
we don't just run on autopilot and go, all right, today's the first of the month, see you on the 31st of December and hope it works out for you. I mean, they're having weekly one-on-ones.
No, I'm not saying you're not managing, but I'm saying everyone.
But that's the part, we are managing them. So it never really comes to the way you say it, never really occurs because it's being managed.
But free time also.
That's across sales and property management, right? That's across the whole team, yeah?
Yeah,
receptionist, the whole lot.
We've been doing it in sales. We're now moving into next year to do it in everything, because we just feel that there's too many people saving their holidays up and not having a break between Christmas and Christmas. And it's just, you can just see it's affecting their performance. It's affecting their family life. So it's going to move to everyone.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Because you can see the people we've had who don't have a break,
on Cam's questions, are you seeing newer team members not achieving their targets? Yes, you're managing them, and still looking forward to that extra week off. How am I looking at putting this? They're not working as hard as they
Becomes
should
an
be.
entitlement, Chris.
Because they know they're
It
going to
becomes
get
an
it.
They've got
entitlement.
an entitlement attitude, and they're not working as hard as they should be, and they still want that week off at the end of the quarter and so forth. I mean, we might be old school, might be old school thinking myself. But
I'm not going to say they don't, Chris. I'm not going to say that doesn't happen. But I think they've also seen that you don't get to stay too many quarters in our office if you don't make it. So
The other thing too,
we have monthly targets. So even though we're working on a quarter, we're working through every month. So the conversation at the end of the first month is going to be very different to the conversation at the end of the second month. And you might be looking forward to your holiday at the end of the whenever it might be, but you know, after the conversation at the second month, if you haven't stepped up to the plate, that holiday might be well for more than a week.
yeah,
You might never be coming back. So, you know, I think it's how you manage your people at the same time.
and and there's a lot of give and take with us as well.
All of a sudden, a week off becomes a leverage.
No, not necessarily. The other thing is, and what I was about to say, and I think one of you were about to ask it, either Chris or Cam was about to ask it. Do Stephen and I do it? One of you were about to.
yeah.
Yeah, and the answer is bloody oath we do, because you got to lead by example. And the example that we're trying to set is, you know what? Whilst work is important, our families come first, and you've got
But
to.
how do you get your family? You get them results, mate. That's it.
What? What was that?
Family is most important. Because family is most important, you will work as hard as you have to work in focused time so you can, one, be with them, and two, afford them.
Hence why exactly we do that. We work hard.
You just said regardless of the result.
No, but
Regardless of the result, you've won time with your family and we'll pay for it.
yeah, but Cam, as I was about to say, there's give and take. Our people, majority of our people, I don't know what our opening hours are 9 to 5. I don't know what you guys are. When I started, it was 8 till 6. Our people don't turn up at 8:59 and 45 seconds. Some of our staff turn up 45 minutes before they're rostered on, and they hang around an hour after they're rostered off, you know. And so we appreciate, that's our little way of giving back and recognizing that for 12 weeks you've probably worked an extra 40 hours than you should have, or whatever it ends up being. It's a give and take world, you know. And you can't, I don't know, like, you know, we're talking about
We're not. I mean, we've gone, and it's my fault. We've
gone down.
We've gone very opposite ends of the spectrum, but that's all right. The conversation goes where it goes. We spoke 2 weeks ago. Well, I'm not, by any stretch of the imagination, anti-people. I admitted 2 weeks ago that I've gone too far to the side of people, right? But that doesn't mean, to Chris's point, we're handing out participation trophies, right? I think there's much more value in assessing, reading the room, assessing what's going on, and going, you know what, mate, go and take a week off. Right? You've been working your bum off, or you know, I think there's much more to be said for that than just going, everybody, you get a week off every quarter, regardless of what you're doing. It just breeds entitlement, and there's no way back from that. None. There's no way back.
Your mindset, the way you guys are doing it, are fantastic. If it was working for you, great. And if those guys who aren't performing come back and the following quarter you see a lift in their performance or whatever, that's outstanding. I'm not the mindset like Cam, like treating unequals equally. There's nothing unequal as treating unequals equally. And I just think it diminishes the reward or for the other people, but I suppose you're not using it as a reward.
No.
And I just don't know if it's going to drive those people who aren't performing to push themselves that little bit harder the following quarter. Have you been doing it for long? Have you been doing this for?
No, I only started sort of 6 months ago, really pushing them.
All right.
It's actually beautiful. It's beautiful we're talking about it, because the question was, how can you have results in time? And it's going to sound harsh, and you're going to not like me anyway, but you've taken out the results part of it and just given time, right? So I'm talking about how can we have both. I'm talking about how can we have both.
Isn't it?
Hey?
I said that's a pretty simple way to look at it, but we're not.
No, mate, it's
at
not
the same time,
simple.
we're managing our people.
It is.
We're
I
still
want a
managing
whole
our
bunch of people who want results and time, not just given given time, because
And like we're not idiots. Also, we've survived for
if I
however
use the word,
in business.
use the
No, I
word.
know, but what you're saying in a roundabout way is you've taken out results and said, here you have it, and it's a free ride. That's not the case.
No,
What
I said you've
Stephen
given them
said-
time without a result. You're giving them time.
Yeah, but the thing is, but like what Stephen says, we're managing people. We're not running a business in the 10,
No,
20
managing people would be Chris's point.
mindset, 30-year-old mindset ago. We
Not
understand.
30 years ago, managing people, you've just given a blanket rule, right? That's not managing. That's easy, right? Managing people would be to say, this person needs it, this person doesn't, this person's earned it, this person hasn't. That's managing people. That's
Yeah,
leading.
but I think there's also, you know, to then go on to Chris, there's other things that we've talked about and probably done for some people that, you know, as rewards for them. You know, so
And I know that, and you're amazing leaders, Stephen. We know through COVID the support you gave your staff and so forth, and Lou as well. There's
But
no
no question, yeah, that's what I mean.
No, but I'm
We're
just saying, I think
used. We're just-
whilst we might have made it as a blanket rule, there's not just, but you know, the people who
there's
really,
added benefits.
the other people who really had a go, you know, there's other rewards for them that, you know, that some people don't even know about. So it's
Right,
not
in
like
the short
we're
term-
discussing it, you know?
But can I just say something? I think it's important that you also understand this. Part of the reason why we did this as well is because we had staff, and one of them was that colleague that we were talking about before. They would not take time off. They would not go on a holiday. They would not go anywhere with their family. And we had to say, for them, you need to, and that's why it's important to us, you need to make the time to be with these people or do that thing that you want to do. Because if we're at the point where we've got to force you because we care about you that much, that's what we're going to do. And so it's helping to shift that mind.
In this, like jokingly, I say you're forcing them to be with their family. What if they don't like their family? But anyway, in the short term, have you seen an improvement in the results on those who maybe were not doing the best quarters in the short term?
At the moment, we see it working.
Yeah.
Okay,
For
that's
the
the
time
question.
being, we see it working because they do work harder knowing that that's coming, because they're all mindful that if I'm not there, that's a week without results as well. So anyone who's on a target is not silly enough to think, oh, it's a free week. You know, I'm going to have to still do my job before I get there. And I'm still probably, if I want to have a job, do it when I get back. So, but I think they're also grateful that, and we talk a lot about gratitude in our office, in our meetings. It's something we really try. I think they're very grateful that they get that opportunity, and their families are also grateful because, I mean, what did I say before? Hardest thing sometimes to work with is the spouse of an agent, not the agent. And the families are like, thank you. He would never have taken a holiday if it wasn't for you. You know?
I've got no doubt, mate. I've got no doubt the family would be happy. Right? And
But you
don't
know
take-
what? What's,
we
you
can
know,
debate a point without it being an attack on leadership, right? Because
happy, but I think then happy family though then leads to, you know, the more time I've spent with the spouses and the kids,
someone doesn't want to take the work.
the better I find, the better support they get.
What if someone doesn't want to take the week, either because they're on a roll, they've got a big momentum, or they want 3 weeks at the end of the year because they want a real special trip with the family? What if someone doesn't want to take the week?
Well, we've never had anyone yet say they don't want it. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And you know what? The ones who's just gone and done a $120,000 quarter is probably grateful that they can go and have a week off, or has actually been using days to work with their family during that period of time anyway. So, you know, maybe they not have had the 5 days in a row, but for the last 5 weeks, they've had an extra day off every week just to juggle new babies and things like that. So there's a bit of give and take in it that, you know, it still happened, just maybe in a different format for that particular person because it would suit them better. That's all.
Okay. All right, guys. So we're almost running out of time.
But the point is, yes, you can. You can have results and you can have
Free time.
Not free
All right.
time, 'cause no time's free.
Just quickly, one last piece of advice from each of us. I'll go first. You either got to pay for it with your time or pay for it with work. Simple.
I'll go next. Love what you do, because if you love what you do, you'll love doing what you're doing, and it'll feel like you're at work, not at work anyway, and you'll then want to push on and do what you need.
Go on, Lou.
And exactly that. Of course, we can have both, and it's absolutely important that we have both because, as I said earlier, it's good to have the things that money can buy, but it's even more important to make sure you've got the things that money can't buy. Health, happiness, family, all of the above. So
Red wine. Oh, you need money for that. Sorry.
Not a lot. Not a lot. of
Friends to give it to you.
Not a
Oh
lot.
yeah,
of
just get your friends to give it to you.
You just have a 101st birthday party and you get it. It's fine.
Cam.
I don't think there's any better feeling in the world than earning something. Right? You can have it given to you. You can take it, or you can earn it. Right? And I don't think there's any better feeling in the world, no matter what it is. Whether we're talking about work, we're talking about anything, building. How much satisfaction do us idiots get when we occasionally build something? You go, holy shit, I've created. You know, how much satisfaction do we get when we create? Man, we created a human, right? No better feeling. You want to feel better and you want to have it all, earn it. Don't wait for someone to give it to you. If someone is giving something to you, make sure you earn it anyway, because that's a sign of respect, right? If someone's saying to you, have a week off, make sure you bloody earn it, because you won't enjoy it if you don't. It's one of those things. You won't.
Awesome, guys.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, guys. You have
Till
this
next week.
wonderful rest of the week.
Till next week.
See ya.
Bye.
Same back
I'll see you
channel,
next
same
week.
back time.
See ya.
See ya.